MovieWeb.com.
Okay, so Sarah, I want to ask you about how you came to the story, how this film came to you, because you didn't write the screenplay, right?
No, I worked really closely with two writers.
Can you give me a whole idea of the development process and how this came to be the screen?
Well, I'd read the novel Brick Lane by Monica Rowley when it came out, and everybody on the London Underground had their heads buried in it. It was incredibly popular, and I'd loved it then, but it was only when I was approached by Film 4 and Ruby Films a year later, and they said, we think that, your sensibility would match this material, and do you want to make the film? But I looked at it in that way, and it was irresistible. I mean, it was daunting because it was this 500-page novel, and it spanned 3 decades, and how to put that on the screen, but it was also, it had so much to it. This compassionate portrait of a family, the love story, the love that Nazneen discovers with Kareem that takes her breath away, and then the love that she discovers with her husband that grows slowly. And really the story of Nazneen, a woman finding her voice and place in the world, and that's what on the screen.
Well done. Now, how did you find Nazneen? Tannishtha, is that your name?
Tannishtha.
How did you get this role? Did you audition for it? I mean, what was the process of you two working together, making this character come to life?
You tell the story.
I think you should start.
Okay, well, we went on this worldwide search. I mean, we knew that she was absolutely a key role, and that the film depended upon her, and she was in every scene, in every frame. And so we decided to leave no stone unturned and look at all the talent right across the world. We looked in Britain, and we met a lot of wonderful actors, and then we went to South Asia, and Tannishtha was the first person to walk into our audition room, and she seemed almost too good to be true, but we knew that she had all the characteristics we needed for this role, the intelligence, the instinctive kind of connection with the role. And she was Bengali, she understood the culture, but above all she was collaborative, and she knew how to find a way to express the tiny emotional shifts that are involved in the journey of that film.
So, when I was called by the casting director, I was in Paris, and I was supposed to come back at late in the night, like around 2 a.m. and supposed to meet Sarah and Chris Collins, one of my producers, at 8 a.m. in the morning that very day. And I did not have time to read the synopsis and the scenes that were emailed to me. So I had no clue that I'm actually going to read for Britain. So I went to meet Sarah and Chris like just wearing a t-shirt and jeans and open hair, and I looked like a college girl. And then I walked in, and Sarah said to me, okay, we're doing Brooklyn, and I was like, oh, Monica, are you Brooklyn? And am I testing for nothing? And I felt, oh my God, I look so wrong for the character at the moment. So anyway, I read the lines, and the next day Sarah gave me a call again, and she said, we really liked what you did, but if you can come a little prepared this time, and I think you were a bit too young to play a mother of 3 kids. And I was like, no, give me another chance. So the next time I met them, I wore a sari, and I tied my hair into a bun, and I had read the synopsis by then, and read the scenes, and I came well prepared. And then I think after a month and a half, I received a call from Sarah, and she said, first person we met for the role, but it was too good to believe, and therefore we looked for Nazneen everywhere else on earth, and then finally we offered you the part.
You did a great job. One of the things I liked about your performance of Nazneen, and I was not familiar with the book, or whatsoever, was that understatement is very hard to do on film, and I thought that your character, there were so many times when you could just see that he just wanted to burst out and just scream in a rage, with this whole situation with her husband and the kids and Kareem and so on. How do you act that out? How does an actor go into that situation and say, how do I express myself? I'm very curious about that, showing of understatement on film.
It's very tough, because here is a character who doesn't speak much. And sometimes you have characters who don't speak much, but they express a lot. But Nazneen doesn't even express anything. It's all inside her. And a lot of the film is like her face. So how do you do that? There's always a very fine balance between making a performance flat and linear and actually getting into the layers without expressing. And Sarah and I, we had to have trust in one another and a collaborative process where we worked out meticulously points in the journey of the character through the scenes, at what point what can be done, and through actions. And sometimes the letters helped, because in the novel things are expressed in terms of her inner voice, that she's thinking like that, she's feeling like this. How do you do it in film? So we did find ways and means, and Sarah was not a dictatorial director who would say, okay, you sit there, look here, move 3 steps, and that's all I want. She would always work in tandem with the actors and get the DOP in and say that, this is what I like, she did this and he did that, and that improvisation we can keep. Because in cinema, if I'm doing something with my hands, which is here, and if the camera is not capturing it, it doesn't make any sense. So it was a grueling process, and it's very tough. And I had secluded myself and alienated myself from the rest of the world for 2.5 months, just to live that life and to go back to the book all the time, meet these women in Brick Lane area who had similar experiences, hearing their stories, spending time with them, and just try to live that life, in a displaced situation.
All right, last question before they kick me out here. My first question was about how the sister was free in Bangladesh and how Nanzine is oppressed in London in the Western society. I want to end that in that same question. In the modern world, the world of gadgets and cell phones and travel and women's liberation and all that stuff, is it possible for these two societies to exist in the Western world? Can you have this kind of strict dogma, especially concerning women and their daughters, in the Americas, in the Europe?
Well, I think what emerges at the end of the story is a sort of hopeful story of integration, because here's this woman who's come from this very small distance and so long her alien.